Right, welcome back. New video. This is going to call this one rear end teardown number 2, please, because I've already taken the ass end of this apart before. Initially looking for corrosion. When I first bought it, just wanted to check out the usual areas, you know, wheel arches, turrets, rear turrets, chassis members, etc., brake lines, fuel lines, all the rest of it. But I just wanted to give you an idea of you know, what to expect, what you're going to be up against. I've actually had all this out already once, but halfway through I realised I hadn't filmed any of it, so I thought I'd start putting it back together and filming the, you know, the important bits, because I'm like that. So basically that strut needs to come out, the subframe needs to come out, and as you can see I've already had the tank out, but I've managed to get some footage of that, so I'll give you the basics on that if you like. So this is a little bit daunting if you've never done it before, but it's not that bad. This is really not that bad. So the very first thing I would do would be to disconnect your brake line. Unscrew that. You want to make yourself up one of these. It's just a bit of copper pipe. One end's been flared, look. And then a fitting put on it, the appropriate fitting. That will then screw onto the end of your pipe, like I've done there, look. And stops it leaking everywhere. And more importantly, stops air getting in the brake line, because that is a nightmare on these. Once you get air in these rear brake lines in particular, it's a bit of a nightmare. So once you've done all that, I would unbolt the caliper. So it's two 30mm bolts, one there and one at the top there. So, when I say once you've got the brake line disconnected, you're a lot freer. Unbolt it, the rear knuckle. This should then slide off the disc. I know I haven't got a disc on, but that should slide off the disc fairly easy, with the handbrake released, obviously. With that off the disc, you can then push the handbrake mechanism towards the closed position and slide that handbrake cable off. There's a little clip there as well. That little clip there slides off, and that is it, it's off. So then once the caliper is off, I would say the next best thing is to take your drop link off. Keep the nut on the drop link, just so you know where it is. I think that's a 17mm nut. So you want to try and get the strut out in one piece. That's why I'm saying take that off there. That can stay on the bottom on the sway bar end. At this point you could probably get the handbrake cable out of the way if you wanted to, but it doesn't really make a lot of odds, to be honest. There's a clip there for the handbrake cable. Take that clip off, pull that out. There's another clip there, so that just pushes out, and you can pull the handbrake cable out of the way. So that's out of the way. The next thing I would do is get that ABS sensor out, because you don't want to be damaging that. So there's a little tab on there, I don't know if you can see. You press the tab in and pull the plug off at the same time. and that's it out. The ABS cable is clipped onto this rear trailing arm. These little push-on clips, they just pull out. Again, I've had all this a few times, so it's easy. But that cable will actually come right out. There's a hole in the chassis there, in that chassis rail, on the side of that chassis rail. Inside the car, under the back seat, there's a plug just under there, and the other end of that plugs into it. So if you unplug that, push that down through the hole, you can pull it out through the side of the chassis and get it right out of your way, because they're fairly expensive for what they are and you don't really want to damage them. Right, so it's looking a bit clearer now. So I would say the next thing to do, take the bolts out for the rear knuckle. So you've got a big one there around the back for the side trailing arm. That comes out. Again, I've already undone all these, it's all loose. Then you've got one front and back. They're 15s, 15mm head, I think. And that one is 18, I think. Right, so that's your strut pretty much unbolted. Everything around the back. Your subframe arms, side trailing arm just there. So the only thing that's holding that strut in now is at the top. There's two 10mm bolts up there, and that is it. The best way I found, get a long extension bar with a deep 10mm socket on the end, an electric ratchet if you can get hold of one. Obviously I've done all these, I've undone these, so it's nice and easy. That's the first one. So there's nothing holding that on now. There's nothing holding that strut in at all. It's completely unbolted around the back, at the top, drop links off, etc. So the only thing that's holding that in now, I don't know if you can see on the back of the strut, there's like a bracket welded on, and that's sat on top of the subframe. So what you'll find is I haven't got the subframe bolted up fully. That will be fairly tight to get that out, to pull that out. So the tension, the spring, I'll be putting tension on that bracket. So take your time. And that's it. That's the strut out. Everything apart from the wheel liner is out now. You don't have to do this next, but it's up to you. There's no sort of like, you know, order to any of this. What I'm doing, this is just the way I do it. So you got these fixings there. Now mine are nice and clean and they're brand new, but I can assure you when they've been on the car for a few years and all rusty and corroded, they're a nightmare to get off. They're so fiddly. Basically I found the best way of getting these off is spinning them off, because these little studs there's one there without one on, look. They're like threaded, it's a coarse thread on there. So if you spin those off as best you can, soak them in WD, clean them up with a wire brush first. You can get these brand new, these little clips. I'll show you once it's off, but I usually find spinning them off works best. So there you go. And like I say, you can replace those. You can buy those brand new. Right, got these little plastic screw rivet things as well, and they're also a bit of a pain in the ass. Again, I found the best way to do this. It don't work all the time, and if it's been on the car for years, then you might struggle. But again, WD, soak it, loosen it up. So the center bit unscrews, or should do. It's only a plastic thing, plastic thread, so it might not. So once that's out, then you can just pull the plastic and it'll take the rest of the little plastic rivet out, which is just like that. Not much, but they can be a pain in the ass to get out. Mine has been on a car for years, like I said. Anyway, so now you've taken all those out, because you've got quite a few fixings all the way around. You've got several of each type. You've got there, down there, down there. You've got another one there, etc. You just need to get them all out. Now, getting the actual wheel liner out itself is can be a bit of a palaver. What I found is this one here at the back. It's got like a little half-shaped crescent thing on it. So what I found is if you get a pair of grips or long nose pliers like I got, hold on to that, pull that off, and that brings one side of it down, and you can get that out, and then pull that one, and it comes out easy as that. Look, easy peasy, innit? But I can guarantee you yours won't come out as easy as that, because I've struggled before. Again, when they've been on the car for donkey's years, they are a pain in the ass to get out, and you'll get covered in shit and dust when you get out. So there's your bare wheel arch. This is nice and clean, thankfully. I've done a lot of work under here, a lot of hard work cleaning it up, etc. So again, you don't have to do it in this order. This is just the way I'm doing it, but I prefer to take that side trailing arm out. I just think it's easier to get out of the way before you start dropping the subframe. And that's held on by that bracket over there. Again, two 15mm bolts go to the underside of the car. Impact wrench again. Make life easy for yourself. Again, if this has been on the car for years, now the subframe. So there's 4 15mm bolts, 2 each side. So 2 that side, 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there. So everything else is detached now. So it shouldn't be too bad to get out, he says. Take 1 bolt out each end, opposite each other, and then you get your knee up against it. Take the weight, make sure you've got the weight of it. First bolt out, hit yourself in the face. And then the second bolt out. And that's it, is out. Lumpy thing. So next, you're going to have to start taking your brake lines out. Easy enough, they're just on plastic clips. Like I said before, the important thing is you don't leave them leaking, you don't leave them dripping brake fluid, don't leave the ends open, seal them up, because if you get air in these brake lines, is a pain in the ass to get out again. Okay, so this is where we stand so far. Subframe's out, both rear struts obviously, and I'm just looking to drop the tank. I'm trying to empty it at the moment. It's about just under a quarter of a tank at the moment, so I'm just trying to get that out before I drop it, but if I can, I'm just going to take it down on the jack. Yeah, this is just a little cut-in to show you, you know, the important details about getting the tank out. So the first thing I would do, even before you've attempted to undo any bolts regarding the tank, is undo the little screw in the filler cap. So there's a screw in there. Yeah, undo that. There's a little screw in there into there. So this is sat behind. So take that out first. Then you've got a couple of fixings there and there on these brackets. They need to come out. So if you can imagine, the tank is in place now. The pipe that I was just showing you runs along here somewhere, and those clamps screw into under here somewhere, those two. So like I said, get those two out. So these are the two straps, the two tank straps, and they kind of hook into this cross member across here on that side. That one's actually hanging down there. But they both bolt up in the same way. So on this side, it's a 13mm bolt. If you want to support the tank, then you can do the same as what I did and just put the jack underneath it, but you have to spread the weight with a metal plate like I did, or something like that. So once you've got the jack in place, or you're happy just to take it down and the tank's empty and there's no real weight in it, then you undo these two 30mm bolts, both sides. One there, tank strap goes out there. So take those out. And then the strap will come down. Yeah, that twists out. Comes straight out like that. So take both your straps out, and then with your tank still supported by the jack, you can slowly release it. You do have to be a little bit careful. You've got a evaporator tank, if that's what they call it here, which is 3 screws, one there, and one there. So need to undo those. That evaporator tank then can drop down. You've got all these fuel pipes as well, and I'll show you those now. They've got little plastic clips on them. So these are the clips I was telling you about just now. So all you do is you push those 2 little white tabs in, pull it out the other side fully, and then that should just pull off if you pull that out enough. Like that. So once these plastic pipes are out of the way, same principle on the evaporator tank, if that's what we call it. Just unclip all the pipes. I left that on top of the tank when I dropped it, as you saw in the video. But yeah, and then, you know, you're not worried about removing the filter, I suppose, at this point, but that can stay as it is. But when you come to change the filter, this is what I always like to do, is drop this off the underside of the car first, the whole bracket, and then undo it. I've replaced that bolt because originally it was just a real shitty one of these coarse thread bolts. You know, it wasn't like a machine thread on there, it's just like a real coarse thread self tapper sort of thing. So I've replaced it, and I've put a slightly longer 6mm bolt in there with a nut on the back. So this little white plastic fit in there causes issues for quite a lot of people, and it does go brittle, so be warned, be careful with it. You don't snap it, because if it snaps, I think you're struggling to get hold of a new one. What you need to do is twist that so those retaining clips are underneath this bit of plastic here, and therefore letting it slide out. You see what I mean? So there you go, that's what I'm talking about. These things lock in to these holes here, so you need to turn that so these are behind there, and then you should be able to pull it out, and then the whole thing just pulls out of a rubber fitting inside there, and that's it, you got it out. Right, so that's it, you're up to speed now. This is how the car looks. I'm now doing the rust treatment, full rust treatment. But that'll be another video, alright, because it's too much to cover in one video. I'm just going to try and break this down into sections. I'll probably do a video on the underside, rust treatment, paint, etc. Another video on the tank. And another video on putting it all back together again properly, because like I say, it's too much to cover in one video. But yeah, I hope this helps you out, and see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe and all that nonsense. So yeah, thanks for watching, cheers, adios.